dismissed. You know you gotta tune in, right? Hey, we just soldiers on a mission. Turn the volume up, tune in to the vision. Spitting every episode, ain't no skipping. Put your mans on, he ain't hear it, then he tripping. And you know you gotta listen to the Ransom Report. Hey, it's the Ransom Report. Said you know you gotta listen to the Ransom Report. It's the Ransom Report. Now what you thought? Yeah.
Welcome to the Ransom Report, powered by What's the Movement, providing you with intellectual entertainment via podcast. As always, joined by the Sheik, I'm Mr. Ransom. Sheik?
What's goodington? What's goodington?
Sir, time flies.
It
time
does.
Flies when you're working.
It does. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I feel great, exceptionally well.
As always, peace and blessings be unto you, sir.
Likewise, my G.
I appreciate you. I've been thinking of ways to kind of get this podcast off the ground, like our banter back and forth, and I have an idea. One of our previous guests said Sheik wisdom or Sheikisms. I feel like that fits perfectly into the motif in our dynamic. You're the seafood, I'm the grasshopper, you know?
Let's go.
And in a good way. So I feel like we'll use this opportunity I want to open it up with a question for you.
Let's go.
Okay. How are you feeling about hearing your own voice in third person? Like on the podcast? Like when you hear it?
I love it. I love it because it's not a new thing for me. Podcast is new for me.
Okay.
I was a guest on a podcast before, but being in front of a camera and being on a mic is nowhere near new to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, as you know some of my history. I've been in studio since high school.
Yeah.
You know, I put a studio together. I put a record label together.
No.
I have performed in bars. I've performed at high schools. I've performed at Black History Month events when I was in high school. I have made beats for people from Purple City Bird Gang.
Mm-hmm.
I have opened up shows for $500,000. I have.
Wait. You did stuff with Purple City?
Yeah, I made a nice beat
for Shice Bubs or Aguilar, one of them.
Aguilar. I made a Smokey Robinson sample beat for Aguilar that was on one of DJ Diggs mixtapes. R.I.P. DJ Diggs.
R.I.P. DJ Diggs, New Jersey legend. So
I opened up for $500,000 too.
You do it, and you've done it, and you do it.
You feel me?
I wonder. I still feel like the nerves beforehand. I'm still finding my voice, and that's just me being transparent.
Yeah.
I've always believed in transparency as a strength rather than a weakness.
Absolutely.
So, what advice could you give me? This is how we're gonna open these shows. Like, what advice could you give me along my journey of finding my voice here?
The only advice I can give you is be comfortable being you, and I already know you're that. Like, it's just something that you have to get used to, because when you come here to get your hair cut, you know you are live when you're here.
That's true. That's very true.
You're a whole entire presence. So the only difference is knowing that someone's watching, right? But somebody's always watching.
Being a presence is hard.
Yeah, man.
It's not as easy as it seems, and I'm getting used to it. But you're right.
Pretty soon it'll roll over like minutes.
That's a fact. That's
old
a fact.
Cell phone style.
I'm working on it, and I feel like being in the public eye is something I'll get used to as time goes on. I know I'm built for it, but I have to know the ledge and walk that line.
Yeah,
so,
and the hardest part about it is going to be criticism and judgment, because that's always going to come with something like this.
That's
and
a fact.
And that's regular.
That's a fact. When you have your hands in so many different things and wearing so many hats, it's I guess it's part and parcel, right?
Absolutely.
It happens, yeah. So as you know, we always sit down with people that I find interesting and talk about subjects I find fascinating.
Yes.
For this week, we have someone who is no stranger to wearing many hats, doing many things with many people across many planes. Jersey Queen.
Mm-hmm.
What up?
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm well, thank you for asking. On behalf of the Sheik and I, peace and blessings be unto you.
Gratitude.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another lap around the sun. You know, it's your 22nd birthday. How you feel? How does it feel to be 22? The Emmett Smith year.
Oh man, I have the whole world in front of me. I don't know what to do.
The whole world. The world is your oyster. I love it. I love it. Before we get started, I just want to say, as far as human beings go, we've had limited interactions, but let me say this. I love your energy.
Thank you.
I really love your energy.
I appreciate that. Sincerely.
Yeah, you're welcome. Where does that come from?
Where does my energy come from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you cultivate energy like that, naturally?
Shoot, I guess that's a tough question.
Well, we're here to answer the questions.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I
What do you
feel
think?
like, I guess the energy just comes from life, living life and then, seeing the blessings and everything that I go through, right?
Seeing the blessings. Yeah, and counting your blessings.
Counting them and multiplying them.
That part.
Yeah.
Gotta multiply 'em. Gotta be the multiplier.
Absolutely.
Were you always someone who had this type of, he said presence, and the theme of our shows kind of revolve around certain mantras and certain things. Presence is a great word. Did you always have this type of just good vibes, good energy, good presence, or did that you find like me, you had to find your voice over time?
I would say it's a mix. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it wasn't. It depends what I was going through, what period of my life I was in. But once you start to learn and get the hang of the flow of life and how not everything's going to be up, sometimes there's downs, you learn how to maintain.
I feel like that's something that's constantly in flux. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's like whatever that scale is called. Like I know it's like like the Libra scale is something that's commonly referred to as one of those type of things, but it's like it's a constant flux of your energy. And again, I don't judge people at the ripe old age of what the age that I am by your money or your status. I kind of judge people by what people say about you and how many people, because one person says something about you, it's an opinion. 10 people say something about you, where there's smoke there's fire, and I've never heard a single bad thing about you besides, man, she's a woman of mystery. Like she's mysterious. Like she's so omnipresent in so many things. How do you feel like at this point, this many years into your career being, in the public eye, do you feel like you found your voice, or are you still working on that and cultivating your presence?
I would definitely say I found my voice, but you know what it is? People have to build the one-on-one relationships with me for them to hear my voice. Because social media is not people look good on social media and whatnot, but I really like the one-on-one relationships, Like
old school?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, is that old school, like technology-wise, or like what is that? Like, do you go by like technology or just like face-to-face conversation?
Definitely face-to-face. If I could build with you in person, it's way easier. Social media, you get a false perception online. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people create the reality they want on social media based on their insecurities or the negative qualities. The Sheik and I had a conversation about this a couple of episodes ago about following the fact of being a follower, and then the Sheik said if we paid attention and followed everybody to the letter that's on social media, we would end up hungry and naked.
Oh yeah,
is what he said. And I thought about that. I ruminated on that, and he's right.
Oh yeah,
he's right, because they're not putting money in our pocket or food on our stomachs, but we aspire to be these people that we have no clue what they really represent in real life
at all. Like social media is absolutely the platform for people to be the image that we were given of every cop when we were growing up. Like when you grow up, you're like, oh, I went to school with him, he's soft, he a punk, but now he a cop. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what you hear. That's what you hear a lot of times.
I see what you're saying. So that's the bullied cop mentality is used wholesale on social media.
Yes, like social media is like facade for dummies.
Oh yeah.
I actually agree with that. The bullied cop facade is applied widespread for social media. I agree. I agree with that.
And not everybody, but you know what I'm saying. It's
of course not.
It is a place where you can give another face.
Generalization is very harmful. When we're talking about either a demographic, an age group, color, anything, like, so general, like you just said, not everybody. And it's important because sometimes I feel like emotionally in the moment, if we're upset with something that we see, we tend to speak from a place of emotion, and like you said, you have to sometimes take the best part of people and things for yourself. Could you do me a favor, Sheik? Would you honor me and relate to be what you need for yourself represents?
Well, basically, what I was saying is like you just got to take the best part for yourself, because you're gonna have a whole lot of things placed in front of you, especially information, right?
Facts.
So basically, what I mean by that, in the most simplest form, you have to take the things that are applicable to your life and utilize them. You know what I'm saying? I've read books, I've listened to books, and I've spent time around wise people and dummies. I even learned things from dummies. One of the main things I taught people when people asked me about opening a barbershop and my experiences, I said one of the greatest experiences I had being around different barbers and working in a couple of different places over the years was I learned what not to do. You know what I mean?
Not what to do, but what not to do.
What not to do. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you have to just approach and burn the candle from the other end. You know what I mean? And you got to take the best part for yourself. It's real common for people to say, this is what I learned. I'm going to say, this is what I learned, but I learned what not to do. Just like I'll approach a client and I'll say to a new client, all right, well, I never cut your hair before. Tell me what you definitely don't want. You know, but it's common to say, what do you want? And that just came from experiences of taking the best part of things for myself. In every endeavor and every opportunity that I've had to learn from, I take what is applicable to me, because it's going to be the most useful to you and for you. The best part.
That was
what I'm saying?
That was such a crazy statement that when he made it, you know, I was stuck for a second, because he's absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Who's showing up for the worst part?
True. And you can apply that to so many parts of your life.
Absolutely.
The original conversation that we had was regarding Kanye West, and I grew up listening to him, but in light of his, you know, the things that he said that I didn't agree with at all, I found myself torn of listening to him without feeling secondhand embarrassment or shame. And then the Sheik imparted that wisdom on me, and he's right. You don't just because you listen to his music doesn't necessarily mean you believe in his viewpoints. And you know, he's all over the place, so he, you know, it's a bad example, but it was an example that we used in that moment. You can apply that to people in your life too.
Yeah.
Like when you have disagreements with people, or I always like to say, whenever I say this statement, whenever I say agree to disagree, a lot of people don't like that for some reason. Has that ever happened to you?
Absolutely. I mean, people are looking at it from the glass half empty.
Huh.
And you should be able to enjoy entertainment without being attached to the artist's values. Why do you have to be attached to an artist's values to enjoy their music?
Yeah, no.
You know
I
what
agree.
I mean? And half of the time when you're listening to artists, especially rap artists, a lot of that stuff is not even real. And when you listen to R&B artists, a lot of these people didn't even write it. So how do you attach a person to an artist's values just because they like the entertainment? That's why it's entertainment.
Yeah. I would say art is literally what it's meant to be. It's art. It's for your enjoyment.
Exactly.
Now, they're not going to always resonate with you. They don't have to, because them being them is what makes them make this art.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. It's going to entertain some, just like genres of music, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's one or two genres of music that I don't necessarily, you know, listen to. When I was younger, I was like, this music's bad. I don't like. Now that I'm grown, it's like it's just not for me. So I didn't take that's something I didn't take from myself.
Yeah.
I'm literally only taking the best parts of life for myself. There was a statement that I saw today that I want to share with both of you right now that made me think of the take the best part. This was on social media. Someone said, I saw a post I didn't agree with. I didn't get offended. I didn't comment. I didn't feel the need to change their mind. I still like the person. I just kept scrolling and went on with my day. More should practice this.
Bro, that's literally me every day.
Every day.
Because I often think about responding. Like I seen today, let me tell you what I saw today. Somebody had posted a meme and it said, I can't remember what it exactly said, but it was like some gentlemen that looked like they were from what they now call the Middle East, and they had like they were holding gay flags, and it said Allah for gays or something like that.
Okay.
And like so many people were commenting on it, right? Like so many different thoughts and views about how people felt about it. And I was just like, I read it and I was reading all of the comments, and I wanted to, you know, I thought about commenting what I thought about people's thoughts.
Sure.
Not even about what I saw, but people's thoughts. And I said, you know what? That's not even what I do. Like, and what am I doing it for? And I let it ride. And I was just like, I'm good on that. That's not even my fight.
Yeah, I tend to think that when it comes to opinions,
I love this.
I love it too. You're someone who finds themselves constantly bombarded by opinions because of the field that you decide to work in, the entertainment field. You're in the business of entertainment. That's not the only business you're involved in, but you're in the business of entertainment. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I can agree with that statement.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that as someone who is high profile? Because this is how I look at it. And I can, the best advice I can always give someone, the best words I can give someone, what would I do if I was in their position?
Yeah.
I'm not in your position because our paths are different, but I just started a podcast. Well, the Sheik and I started a podcast. Everything I'm saying is being recorded.
Yeah.
Everything I'm saying is being videoed. So how do I maintain my true self authentically, but at the same time making sure not to step on anyone's toes? And you being in that field, you're someone I can learn from because you've done this for how many years?
Gosh, I guess I've been in this since like about 2013, technically.
When did you first fall in love with hip hop?
When I fell in love with hip hop earlier than that. My brother.
What was the moment?
My brother gave me so many moments. I'll say my brother. He's a little bit older than me.
Okay.
I could say maybe some of the best times is when G Unit first got hot.
Okay. Continue. Did you like Dipset?
I was a fan of Dipset.
Okay, fair enough. Continue.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked Dipset, but I was also very much a big Lloyd Banks fan because of my brother.
Okay, that's...
So,
Yes,
you know,
let's go.
my brother put me on to so many things coming up in like certain exclusive mixtapes. That was like the mixtape era because he graduated from school like 2003 or 4. So like
I graduated in 04 myself. So I graduated in the heat of the mixtape era.
Exactly. So you were.
And I like Banks as well.
Yes.
But I was a Dipset fan all day.
Oh man,
All day.
I don't know, man. It's tough. Unit they were cool. I'll say like when you look back now, they were really cool.
But
You know what I'm saying?
Dipset was not really cool.
Dipset was
Now,
not really
Dipset
cool.
was cool.
They had
They
everybody.
were very cool.
But 50 Cent led the pack.
But everyone
Like-
in my school wore pink in 2003. It wasn't because of 50.
Yeah, but 50, you know what I'm saying? 50, he had his era and he had a longer or different type of run than Dipset, I'll say. You know what I mean? And
That's-
50 Cent still doing what he do
Nah,
now. You know what I'm saying?
he's a great businessman. Let me put it to you like
yeah.
that. And he learned that from Dr. Dre, Eminem, and Jimmy Iovine.
Facts.
You cannot have 3 better teachers, and some for worse. But that's a different subject. But he had 3 great teachers about how to maneuver in the music industry.
Oh, yeah.
And to switch modes when you know something's not working.
Oh, yeah.
So
did.
you started off. You really fell in love during the G Unit era.
Yeah, my brother, he used to drive me to school every day.
Okay.
And when he drove
Where'd you
me
go to high school?
I'm from Bergen County. I went to Westwood High School.
Okay.
You know, so at a period of time where before he was in college, he was driving me to school. I hear all these hip hop songs. I feel like, you know, I'm gonna listen to some Tony Yayo when I get home. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He had me bumping all kinds of stuff, and that's when I really started like liking the music industry. My brother at a point he wanted to be in the radio and stuff like that, but you know, life just ended up life, and he ended up going a different path, you know. But then me, on my end, you know, I started to meet people in person who were independent artists, who had bars, and it would remind me of that excitement that I had when I was listening to June and when Lloyd Banks dropped Smile, you know what I'm saying, way back when. And I was like, you know, I kind of like this, you know what I'm saying?
It was familiar to you.
Oh, yeah. And it also reiterated the good feeling and that passion that I needed at that time.
Don't you love music for the feeling that it gives you? Because you can't quantify the feeling. Great music is supposed to move you.
Oh yeah, it's an energy.
It is an energy. Sheik, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
Man, the day it was created, probably.
The day it was created?
Absolutely.
Like we're talking about, like
I'm talking
Cool
about
Herc
like
in
when hip hop surfaced. Let's put it like this: I went from Kiss to Michael Jackson to hip hop. That was my order. I've always been into music since the beginning of my life. You feel me? Like,
so music. I'm interested to hear about Kiss because I will say one thing about Kiss: they were great performers,
yes,
great showmen. They kind of paved the way for what a great stage presence should be. They weren't the greatest musicians or vocalists, but they had stage presence.
How you gonna say they weren't the greatest musicians or vocalists? I'm appalled.
Compared to some,
Don't
but I guess you know. Guess what? I guess everything in life is relative.
I got a signed Gene Simmons at my house.
Oh, listen, who did I like out of them? Ace Frehley.
Ace Frehley was my favorite.
Was that the guy with the star on his face?
No, that was Paul Stanley.
Okay, so
Ace Frehley was the one that had kind of like a silver star thing going across his eyes.
I remember now. But they were. I love having music discussions, not necessarily about one genre, but you just said it best. The energy that one feels when discussing music.
Oh yeah.
I had a teacher in technical school, and he said there are two universal languages in the world: math and music. And no matter where you're from or what walk of life, you can communicate through one of those two mediums. If you suck at math, lean in music. If you got two left feet, lean into the numbers. And before we were airing, we discussed that very briefly about the Afro beats and my experiences in the Caribbean. And I have such fond memories of those things. Now, you're from Bergen County. Were you born and bred there?
Yeah.
You were? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Westwood and Washington Township.
Westwood and Washington Township?
Yeah.
Are you still like familiar with the people back there, or you don't really get a chance to go back?
Oh yeah, I mean, my friends, my long-term friends, they're still from high school, and even before then, I still am in contact with them. They still come to my events, show love and everything.
So you fell in love with hip hop through G Unit.
But listen, I love that.
An interesting.
No, listen. Now look, I was like kind of sort of defending Dipset, but listen, 50
I have
Cent,
to defend Dipset.
50 Cent is one of my favorite rappers. As I go
know
through the eras, like I love Dipset, but when I start individualizing, like 50 Cent was one of my favorites. Well, I'm gonna say is one of my favorites because I always love artists that really never veered away from what they gave me from the beginning. I'm not the type of person that wants to grow with an artist. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Unless you grow and you're good at it. A lot of artists are not good at growing.
I agree.
I could agree.
I agree. Now, would you say Lloyd Banks was your favorite out of G Unit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was definitely.
Did you like 50?
I like 50, but the Rotten Apple is really what like.
Okay. See, I like The Hunger for More. The first, his debut.
I was liking that too.
Okay, all right, so you was in.
Yeah, I liked all that too. It's just 50 Cent. You know, he sounded cool. You know what I'm saying?
He did.
But then eventually, you know what I'm saying?
Times change.
Right.
And guess what? This is where I give 50 his roses. Like, I see where you're going with that. Times changed, and 50's sound of the early 2000s wasn't really the thing anymore.
Right.
He was smart enough to transition.
Yeah.
He transitioned out of music, and now he's a mogul, again, under the tutelage. Life's about our teachers, I think. And I don't mean in school.
Yeah.
I mean the people we collect along the way. And they could involve teachers that you had in school, but not exclusively to that. Like, I am sitting next to one of my teachers, and you could call him an OG, you can call, there's so many different ways of categorizing those people, but you have teachers along the way in your life, and that kind of shapes the person who you are.
Yes.
Because like that old saying, that old proverb, it takes a village to raise a child, I live by that.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I definitely agree with that. You can't do it by yourself too.
Were there people along the way that, looking in, hindsight being 2020, people that highly impacted your life that you didn't know at the time? That you didn't realize that at the time?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of different people who came across my journey that became my soul tribe.
Like who?
Oof. In entertainment industry, like all.
No, just in general.
Just
Just it could be about like becoming a person, because I firmly believe that your experiences build the type of person you are.
Oh yeah.
And then help you become the stature of the person you are in whatever trade you decide. Like the Sheik, for example.
Yeah.
The Sheik is venerable.
Okay.
That's the word I like to use for the Sheik.
Absolutely, he loves that word.
I love that word. I love that word because it means a human being, who has wisdom. He is wise.
I appreciate that.
That's a high compliment.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
I appreciate you.
Likewise.
The energy that you attract help you become the energy that you end up being. But for you, because I don't know that much about you, and the people don't know that much about you, I feel like this is a good opportunity to kind of move the curtain back just a bit behind the, and honestly, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
people deserve to see, and you deserve yourself, for people to know how are you the person that you are, and how do you make all these great relationships? How do you make all these inroads? So I ask you, are there people in your life that you didn't realize at the time really had a huge impact on you? Like the Sheik had impact on me years ago. I didn't realize it until we started this podcast, and my father passed away. See, it took these moments in order for me to realize. Do you have people like that in your life?
Absolutely. Some of them are still around and near and dear,
Good.
Some of them are not, I would say.
Can you think of an example?
That is near and dear still. I mean, or in the sense I didn't know or wasn't aware of it when I first
Correct.
met them.
Correct.
For me, there's this woman named Christy. She's helped me a lot on my internal journey and my spiritual journey. For me, I lost my dad when I was in 8th grade. I lost my mom in 2019.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Then I lost my grandma right after, and like a year after that. So I changed a lot.
My condolences.
Oh no, thank you. I just changed a lot as a person through those experiences. But through learning a lot through her, I became a better woman overall.
In what way would you say?
I would say
Hindsight being what it is.
Looking at it now, more so not allowing those grievances to become an obstacle long term in my life. It's more so a part of the journey, and you have to look at your glass like half full versus half empty when you lose people, because at the end of the day, sometimes you might have to look at it as like extra protection on the other side, because we don't see everything. We think we see everything. We think we know everything, but the universe has a different plan for us sometimes.
And you got to be adaptable, right?
Exactly.
You have to be. Sheik, how do you deal with loss? And we talked about that in the first episode a little bit, but this is more of a closer to home subject.
What's funny about that is it took me a long time, to learn how to deal with a lot of things, just because I just am what they call an overthinker. I think a lot. Sometimes intellect can be my worst enemy. And the reason I said it's funny that you asked me that is because as you're speaking to her, I'm listening to her speak about, looking at the glass as half full instead of half empty.
Correct.
But one of the things that I'm practicing right now is looking at the glass as all the way empty. You know what I mean?
All the way empty?
All the way empty. It was something that I've heard in a couple of books, but the place that is stuck in my mind the most is where I heard it first, and that was from Bruce Lee. And he said the power of a cup is its emptiness. And what he was speaking about is just allowing yourself to be at peace by not always having something in your mind. Like every emotion that you erect comes from a thought. Right?
Okay.
So emotions don't exist without you thinking first. Every emotion that you have is directly tangent to a thought. Every single one. So I just started learning how to not think.
And just be present in the moment.
Yeah, because there's a big difference between thought and thinking. You know, thought.
Big difference.
Thoughts
between
are the
thought
building blocks to which we build life off of.
Correct.
Big difference.
But thinking can be very poisonous if you overwhelm yourself with it. And I had to find a medium for myself of what was respectful and disrespectful, because if I lose somebody, let's just say recently I lost one of my dogs, and for me losing a dog is like almost like losing a person. That's how in tune I am with my dogs. That's how much the love I get from dogs doesn't have conditions involved with it. Like I've never experienced the love that I get from a dog from a lot of things in people. Like it really comes without conditions.
Well, they do say the love of an animal is unconditional.
Like there are no conditions involved.
Yeah, and that's what they say sometimes is lacking from the human element of it, because we have our guard up at all times, and sometimes we bring it down for certain people, but a lot of times it's like, nah, I gotta. It's support with condition.
Yeah.
Because as human beings we have to protect ourselves and our own energy, but an animal that still has a spirit, still has a heart, still cognizant, doesn't understand those things.
Correct.
That's why I always say the love of a child is the purest love outside of like an animal, because they haven't been tainted by the world yet. They haven't learned how to lie. They haven't learned how to deceive or shine on. Like a very good friend of mine passed away when he was 14 years old, and I always say he was the best of us because he represents the innocence of youth. He passed on clean, like all of us have done dirt since then. Like his biggest fear was, doing bad on a test in 8th grade, or missing a shot in a basketball game. He missed out on all the horrible things that we have lived through and evolved into as adults that just come with the territory. Even if you're a good person, you're gonna hurt somebody here or there inadvertently. I always look at animals and children as the purest energy and the purest love. So if I have 2 cats, so if my 2 cats don't get along with you, I gotta look at you funny because they have energy. That energy's pure. If Homeboy or Dipset or R.I.P. the General Koba, was not or Hagler.
I was looking at the General's paperwork today.
I miss him. We gotta. Can we have one of the exotics on for one of the shows?
Man, listen, we'll pull up like a good diaper.
Okay, perfect. I would really like that. But yeah, energy is, especially as we get older, I feel like we give it out to less and less people, but we're in the public eye.
Right.
I'm now in the public eye. Do you find that it's easy to be? Like, how do you give your energy out? And I know it's one-on-one, but how do you decide who to give it to? Like, you're sitting here now, and honestly, just our conversation now for the last 30 minutes, I feel even more honored because your ideals are based upon, you have to earn that. You have to show, not earn it, but like I have to know that your intentions are good, your energy is good. How do you discern in your position? Because I'm sure people are always trying to talk to you, always trying to see what they can get from you. Like, how do you separate the wheat from the chaff, as they say?
Honestly, I would say through learning, especially through Christy and certain life experiences, for me, your energy has to feel good to me for me to even want to deal or do any work with you. You know what I mean? I can't give it out to everybody. Energy's a currency. I really do believe in that. And not everybody deserves your energy. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
They have to at least very much, especially be sincere as an individual, as a person, but also I have to see it as well. You know what I mean? I can feel it, but I also have to see it.
It's like the faith through works. Like, you can have faith in something because it's unseen, but you have to see the work.
Exactly.
And energy is definitely a currency because it flows through a current.
That's a fact. And you know what I always like to say? Stuff like that doesn't have tangibility is a weightless electrical charge, a current.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to backtrack, but this whole G Unit Dipset thing is really it's really bothering.
It's got me.
It's really bothering me. It's not, and I wouldn't say bothering because
Dipset?
no. Well, very recently, I'll say this: I've accepted Get Rich or Die Trying into my top 15 albums of hip hop albums of all time because I can't deny it. Just like there's a basketball player who plays today. I'm not his biggest fan, but I can't deny his greatness.
Yeah.
I can't. I'd be remiss if I denied the utter special one of one that this individual has.
The fact you won't say the name is so great to me.
Well,
I love it.
one of the luxuries of having your own show is you can say what you want when you want to say it. I choose not to say it right now. Let's go Los Angeles Lakers. But how do you feel? So back in those days, like the 2003, 2004, that was a great time to be a music fan.
Oh, yeah.
Sheik, that was a great time.
Absolutely.
What do you guys miss most about that era, music-wise and like consumption-wise? What do you guys miss? It could be technology, it could be anything. What do you guys miss?
Well,
I know what I miss.
I don't really miss anything about the era because I listen to what I want to listen to. Like, you get in my car right now, there's so much stuff you're not going to
No, I mean the era. That era of time. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be music. Like, honestly, I miss going on AIM Instant Messenger and writing, I see your...
Oh my gosh.
Listen, hey, I miss going on there and writing something that I saw like on a Cam song and...
Oh yeah, the lyrics. You drop the lyrics as your status.
Thank you.
You definitely was.
You get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was the Drake subliminal king before Drake.
Oh my gosh.
Like
That's
I was
so
putting
funny.
on for the light skin mixed delegation. I was building. I walked so he could fly. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But in all seriousness, what do you miss from that era? Because without social media, I kind of feel like things were a lot simpler. And I hate to sound like an old head, but things were a lot simpler in a good way, I feel.
I would say for me, I really enjoyed the innovation at that time. So, like, for example, we would see some of our favorite artists. You maybe want to see them in concert, but you'd also then maybe be able to go home and play in your video game system. You playing like Def Jam Vendetta or something.
Yeah.
And, and then you also maybe hear your favorite songs, not only in Grand Theft Auto, but like maybe like a State of Emergency when that game came out.
You're right.
Everything was, people would collaborate in different ways to get these songs out. Now it's like super duper play to play and like, it's not as, it's not as organic. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No,
I think I missed the mixtape part of it.
Oh yeah, mixtapes.
Definitely,
I missed the mixtapes.
And then what was so special about the mixtape part was, depending on how thorough the DJ was, the mixtape DJ was going to depend on if you was going to get real live new music or was you just going to get some stuff you already heard with a different beat behind it,
in a couple of
or a whole bunch of freestyles. But the people that was really like that the artists really mess with, you would get new music. Like that's where you got your new music from. And I also
agree,
miss, like
100%.
Like listening to K Slay at 1:00 in the morning type stuff.
The drama hour.
Yeah, like that was really it.
Lindsay, could you look up when did Dipset Volume 2, the mixtape, come out? Because again, when did I fall in love with hip hop? A long time before that. So just as an aside, a woman that my father was dating in the late 90s after my mother and father divorced. His name's Michael, and he listens to the podcast, so I'll credit him. I listened to a lot of like rock music and alternative music back then, and he said there's nothing wrong with that. But he was like, man, if I hear one more song from one of these artists, I think I'm gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna give you a couple of CDs, and I want you to listen to them. And there was 3 CDs that he gave me, and I'll never forget what they were. It was Wu-Tang Forever, the double disc. It was Machiavelli, the 7 Day Theory, and it was Only Built for Cuban Links. That summer, whatever, I want to say, now all 3 of those albums had come out by then, but like, he just those were things that he wanted me to listen to as like, you got to get into hip hop, man. It's time you discovered your tutelage. Like, it's time for you to become a Jedi. Yeah. And that's when I fell in love, and that's why to this day, Only Built for Cuban Links is in my top 1 or 2 favorite albums, and it's on a lot of people's lists of the greatest rap albums of all time. But to me, that summer was the year I was like, man, I'm 12 years old, and what's this hip hop? What's this? So I will say that, but my fondest memories of hip hop was during the high school era, like your brother graduated in 03 and 04, because I could go to the store and get a mixtape.
That mixtape came out in 2002.
What?
2002.
Is that the one?
Dipset Volume 2.
Could you look up the picture? Is it a picture of Cam with the robe on?
So now you got to challenge him and see.
Is it Cam with the robe on and Jim Jones like hanging
Radio
on?
Volume 2.
This one's showing them sitting on the stereo.
Nah, I need the one.
Okay, so it might be.
No, Lindsay. Don't do this to me, Lindsay. I need the one with Cam with a black and red striped robe on, like Rico from Paid in Full, like that one.
Yeah, it's right here. We're here with Jim Jones.
Exactly. Exactly.
2002,
That's when I felt like that summer is when I was like, because they were rapping on the sped up soul samples, and I grew up. My father was huge into Motown.
Okay.
Huge into Motown, and he had vinyls and tapes and 8-tracks, and I would like soak up these songs and listen to these songs. So when I heard them in the soul samples, I would be like, oh, I know who that is. I've heard it already. Like Jewel's had a song called "Who Am I" on Diplomatic Immunity Volume 1, and I was like, I know that song. I was like, I know that sample.
I said the replay on that button would be pressed.
It was
break the button. Like my brother was definitely playing that.
Thank you. Like so, but see, we're all smiling now because we're thinking about the energy that those moments gave us. But also conversely, there are times where songs and music, the energy, it makes us sad. And it makes us remember hard times. There's certain, I don't know, we probably all three of us have these songs in our hearts, but there's songs that I can't listen to this day because it brings back a memory that I can't. It could be a girl, it could be my father, it could be something that I'm like, like the emotion that's tied to it is so high. And that's when you're a genius at your craft.
Oh yeah.
When you can when you can use your words over a beat to control my emotion from a certain time, you're a genius.
That's when you empty that cup so you can enjoy that song.
When you empty the... Yeah.
I like that.
So, what do you... Elaborate.
What I mean by that is that's when you start practicing and learning how to empty your mind so you can enjoy that song because you like it without having to deal with your emotions. If you don't tie a thought to it, you can enjoy the song. Trust me, I practiced that.
Practicing the detachment.
I'm trying to tell you some
in a good
stuff.
way though. In a healthy way. Okay. There's a song, a Stevie Wonder song that my dad loved that song, and I haven't been able to listen to it to this day. You know what? That's my homework.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to it in the next couple of weeks when we sit down again. I'll text you. I'll tell you the song that it is off this, and then I'll let you know. I'll listen to it, but I'm gonna take the best part of it.
Yeah.
And the great moments. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Don't endow yourself in the loss.
Don't endow yourself in a loss.
Endow yourself in all of the great fine moments.
No, you're right. You're right.
And when the emotions get strange, empty that cup. I'm trying to tell you, I practice it and it's great. It allows you to move forward smoothly because you have to learn how to move forward because everything that lives is going to die.
I agree with that. And like
very true.
And you can't ever evolve as a human being if you live by the principle that only what you think is correct is right.
Yeah, and
you can't.
That's when you start realizing the power of what's in between.
Yeah, no, you're right.
What's in between your birth and your death? Your death that's where all the power and the enjoyment. That's where everything is at. Fall in love with what's in between.
I agree. What do you love most about what you do?
The thing that I love the most, honestly, probably...
Sheik, I like that, and I'm going to build on that.
Peace, Almighty.
Yeah, he definitely dropped some gems there. I honestly...
They call him the Sheik for a reason.
Yeah, he got it on lock. It's valid. It's definitely valid.
You
know, honestly, what I guess I love the most about what I do is connecting different walks of life is really my favorite thing of all aspects, regardless if it's the entertainment side or real estate side. And, you know, just being able to help other people build those connections and connect the dots and seeing their relationships flourish past what I've already introduced them to, you know what I mean? Because life is about learning, you know? Learning from other people, learning as much as you can. And not everybody's going to resonate with you the same way, but we're all human. We all bleed blood. So, like, you know, creating those connections, you know, to help you get the resources you need in your life with another person that I know is really what means a lot to me, truthfully.
Do you feel that that requires a certain level of selflessness in order to do that, and like putting your ego aside? In your opinion?
Yeah.
I feel that it does. What do you think?
I can say it does require a lot of selflessness, you know. But at the end of the day, like the only way for us to get better as people individually, regardless of race, ethnicity, or whatever, you know, like gender, is really through connection.
And that brings you back to learning.
Yeah.
And she said that's what life is about, learning.
Yeah, on the last episode, we had a discussion about schooling, and our guest had said, I was speaking about my schooling, and he said, you learned how to learn at a young age, and the Sheik was like, oh man, my mind is blown, which is rare for the Sheik.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, man, my mind's blown. Like, I don't know when I learned how to learn like that. I did, but I don't exactly remember when. But you're right.
Yeah.
What you're saying taps into how I was raised. Like, my mother was a teacher from a specialized curriculum, and my grandfather, like, again, her father, he was a military engineer, so he helped design like satellites for the army, like post World War II. Brilliant man, and he ended up losing his sight, and I learned from him when he lost his sight. For a guy that does things with his eyes and his hands for a living, that's very tough. But you know what he ended up doing? Becoming the #1 consumer of books at the school for the blind in New Jersey, because he was constantly learning. The last conversation I ever had with him was about time travel between black holes and star lifespans. I'll never forget it. I cherish that to this day. And he died maybe a day or two later. He never stopped learning until the day he passed away. He always said, Charlie, he called me Charlie. Some people do. There's only one person in this room right now who is qualified for that, but it depends on if you've known me for a certain amount of time. But he said, Charlie, if you're fortunate, you learn one new thing every day. If you're lucky, you learn 2. So to your point, learning, the connection is about learning.
Yeah.
Learning in order to live your life.
Yeah, because like you said, Sheik, earlier, you are in the world, but that doesn't mean you have to be of that world.
Absolutely.
A world is something you create.
Absolutely. The earth is what we live on, the world is what we live in.
Correct. And your thoughts is what manifests what happens in this world.
Absolutely.
In your world.
So when did you first decide to manifest? Where were the seeds that planted We Are Jersey?
That's actually hilarious.
Because we're talking manifestation now. This is a good time as any.
And we talk about learning in life.
Yeah, we're talking about learning in life. This is a good time as any.
That's so funny. I would say I've nothing that I ever anticipated ever in my life.
Well, like you said, life has a funny way.
It definitely has a funny way. I would say in like 7th or 8th grade.
That young.
I'll never forget, Mr. Pena gave us all like an option, a bunch of projects to do. I made a magazine. So me being inspired by my brother and him and his music taste and everything, I created a hip hop magazine. I literally made it like 60 pages. I still have it.
Fire.
That's awesome.
Everybody was like, why did she do this? Because I was like 7th or 8th grade, so why is she making 60 pages of whatever? And We Are Jersey eventually came about, but I never really dreamed of making a magazine.
Do you still have that you do?
I do.
That's fire.
You do?
I do, yeah.
I like that a lot. Mr. Pena.
Yeah.
That's one of your teachers along the way, right?
Yeah, he was. He was definitely one of the teachers.
It sounds like your brother is someone that you hold very near and dear to your heart.
Definitely.
And as a brother to a sister, well, 2 sisters, one sitting in this room, but like one that's not here right now, that makes me feel good. That makes me very, like, I can't tell you the amount of happiness that gives me. Where is he now? Like, what is he doing?
He's, he took
he
took a different path. He's married. He has, my nephew,
Oh, nice.
So
very nice.
He has a whole different life, but a lot of it's truly inspired through him.
Yeah, and again, would it naturally you learn, you're imprinted on by the people around you. And that's why talking to you, did you grow up in a 2-family or single-family household? 2-parent, excuse me.
Yeah, 2-parent.
2-parent, okay.
They were together.
Like through your adolescent years?
Yeah, no divorces or anything.
Okay. I definitely think that also has something to do with your values and the way you look at life and the way you make your way through your own life.
Oh yeah.
Because
for sure.
I'm a child of divorce, and it's so cliche to say, but my therapist always says, like, cliches are cliches for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they've happened so often.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is, because they've happened so often, you should have the solution available. It's a cliche because you should all automatically know, yeah, okay. It's like, well, I'm gonna do me. Well, okay, well, don't do you. Like fix this about yourself. So your brother, like, do you still talk to your brother? You still have a good?
Of course, absolutely. And it's funny because the way that we both are at this time, like, it's very hard to enjoy mainstream music now because of how it is.
The two of you.
Yes, for both of us.
What's his biggest? I'm sure you talked to him. What's his biggest issue? In your opinion?
Honestly, it's the same thing that I honestly battle.
Okay, what's yours? Yeah.
We both just don't like when they're not talking about nothing. You know what I'm saying? They're not talking about no value, nothing to substance, just a bunch of mess, And there's certain people that me and him could definitely agree on. Like, I mean, for me and him both, we both like Chris Brown. You know what I mean? His music is just phenomenal.
Okay.
But when it comes to other artists or even some of the artists that used to be our favorites, fell off. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of think that's natural. You said Chris Brown. Now, we actually talked about this a couple episodes ago. How did you feel about the whole Rihanna situation with him?
Ooh.
And
See,
being
that's
a
tough.
well,
tough.
and being a and well, this is what's great.
Ooh.
I have someone now who is qualified to answer that question because I can't speak on what a female would say. I want to know, in your opinion, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, it's tough. And it's,
Okay.
it's,
Of course.
it's triple tough for me. 'Cause
Of course.
I'm also a Taurus and he's a Taurus. So,
Okay.
Granted, yes, he probably made a big mistake, but also we are
Fair.
not in the car with them. We have no idea what originally happened. We don't know how it initiated. We don't know their own traumas, which also probably plays a role in the actions that happened. So for me, it's kind of hard to necessarily have a full opinion on it, being that there's no human on this earth that's perfect. Even if he looks perfect to all the girls who thinks he's gorgeous or whatever,
Mhm.
and same thing for the fellas for Rihanna, but at the end of the day, they're still human beings. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree
now,
with you.
I do think, there's a lot of situations that a lot of people get involved in, and hopefully you hope it doesn't get as heated as it gets. But it's really up to you as an individual if you change, if you learn from your mistakes, and how you maneuver to go forward.
That's what I'm looking for. I think that all in all, you saying the human element of it
Yeah.
makes the most sense, because I know I've said and done things that I wish I could go back, and it's almost like when you talk to someone's 20-year-old self at 40, oh, would you have done the same thing? It's like, well, I'm not the same person.
Right.
So it's impossible for me to adequately answer that. Like, I hate when convicts are incarcerated for life without parole, and the parole board asks a 50-year-old man what if they would have done, have they learned from their mistake at 18. Well, you're talking to two different people at that point. That's not fair to the convict.
I
Of course,
agree.
of course they would do. Like, that's why I'm so big on prison reform. Like, that person has no semblance in 40, 30 years later.
Yeah.
So of course you should let him go, because he's obviously grown and learned 30 years worth of knowledge that he didn't have.
Not everybody. Don't let all them people go.
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
I watched
Fuck that. Can I say that?
All right.
Can I say
That's
that?
fair. No, listen, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair. And we
everybody-
talked about generalizing.
Everybody can't go.
We
Yeah.
we talked about. And listen, that's fair. We talked about generalizing a while ago, so that's fair. I watched a really powerful New York Times vlog a few months ago about they were called 40-plussers. They were people that had been on Rikers for 40 years plus. And some of these stories, and to your point, there's one or two of them that I'm like, I don't know, maybe he's just saying it for the cameras. He's doing his best Academy Award. But there was a couple of people in there that I'm like, man, this guy is 70 years old.
Everybody can't go.
He made one mistake in his life and he has to pay for it for the rest of his life. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, because if that's the case, we would all be in jail.
Oh yeah.
Like, every one of us would have done time. Every single one of us. If we were gonna be that
I don't
to
think
the.
that you committed an atrocity that you could get judged on to be staying locked up forever.
You want to know something, Sheik? When you think about it, there's atrocities to one person's everyday life is another person's atrocity.
That's true.
I mean, that's true, but when you go according to the judicial system,
no, but belief system.
Well, I mean, we're not the judicial system though. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm talking about that particular system.
Okay.
I understand what you're. Right. I'm talking about I understand what you're saying.
Okay. So
well,
no, I haven't committed an atrocity or the judicial system. Yeah, no. But I'm just looking at it from.
And it does take. You know, outside of drug convictions, that's definitely unfair. But it does take, outside of drug convictions, it does take some very heinous things to land you real live life. And I'm not talking about 25 to life because they still can get paroled. I'm talking about
life
to
without.
land you life where you ain't
life
never leaving.
They give you the football jersey number.
You got to do some serious. You got to do some serious stuff.
Well, some of these things that these guys went down for because the time when they were incarcerated is stuff that since
has changed.
It has changed, but because they were convicted in a certain year, this natural life is natural life. Those are the guys that I'm talking about. Like this one guy robbed a store and he shot someone in the leg. Was it the leg or the torso or something? But he's doing natural life because of something, whatever the law was in that state at that time. And this guy he's pushing 80 years old, and to talk to him, of course he's repentant. Of course he's, like you said, like he did something really bad. Like you put your hands on a woman, I consider that an atrocity. Like you shouldn't, unless your life is in imminent danger. This is what I always say. My dad always said, listen, she comes at you with a gun or a knife, it's like the military. You're being fired upon. Return fire. Like, but anything else, like, you know, you don't go putting your hands on a woman.
Of course.
Like, but if you're really honestly in it, the Bible teaches you, and honestly, leaving religion out of it, just what I believe in personally, it is taught that if you are truly repentant and God looks into your heart and sees that you're repentant, you will be forgiven. Mm-hmm. That's just what I subscribe to personally. By that mode and that way of thinking, you gotta kind of frame it in a certain way. I just think that, like, in our everyday lives as human beings, like, you've been hurt before, I've been hurt before, the Sheik has been hurt. Like, even the Sheik. Yes. And I jest, but in all seriousness, as human beings, we all get hurt. I wonder, is it the human element that prevents us from moving on from these things and turning the other cheek? Or is it the fear of what other people might think of us if we forgive them that prevents us?
I think those both go hand in hand, honestly, because those are a part of being human. You know what I mean? Being human cares about what exactly you know people think, but also part of it is definitely, like, you know, it's about acceptance. I'd say as well. It's about acceptance, because you have to accept that the people near you are truly, you know, sorry, I guess, if they truly are, and can forgive them, but accepting that you yourself can see past what happened to you. If you're not at that part of acceptance, then you're not going to be able to get to that point, I'll say.
And that's an internal thing.
Yeah. And that's
definitely an internal thing. I feel like you have to know in your heart that you are ready to do something like that.
Yeah.
And it comes with growth. So, see, this is the beauty of this type of platform.
Yeah.
Back to We Are Jersey. So, Mr. Pena.
Oh gosh.
he was there at the Genesis. So you made the magazine.
Yeah.
What happened next?
Honestly, a part of my
life
journey.
Goes on.
Life went on. I pretty much would say I had a close friend. I'm still close friends with him to this day, and now he's becoming a doctor. But I'll say he was hit by a car and considered dead on the scene, right? You know, and I I was president of 2 clubs in high schools, Future Business Leaders of America. And I utilized that to throw events to raise money for the family and give them that money, because he's Spanish, he was an immigrant. And that's kind of how I got into the part of where I'm at now and started these events, because Banks, my business partner, he would come and DJ. And
okay. Is that how you met him?
I had an ex at the time, and that's how I met him. And then we ended up staying close friends, and The ex eventually disappeared off into a different path. You know what I'm saying?
As exes
You know
do.
what I'm saying?
As exes
That's the way I
exes
word
do. Okay.
You know, and Banks is still here to this day, and him, and definitely his mother, like, they definitely were a part of those people who were catalysts in my life to continue to keep going and doing the things that I do now.
The type of people that we've been talking about.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
for sure.
So you get with Banks.
I got with Banks. I threw a homecoming and I threw a few other fundraisers. I used those funds to pretty much give it to my friend's family. The school, that's when I was younger and I didn't really understand, like, oh, you need to be a nonprofit to donate money. I'd be like, I don't care. Why do I need to be a nonprofit to give him money for his hospital bills? Like,
Yeah, the business side of it.
but I was younger, I didn't care. So the school kind of got involved, and they took a picture with me in the check, even though they're trying to tell me not to do it.
Okay.
But they wanted to look good for the paper and everything. So I understood it at that point. I understood the politics of that. But I say to say, it was kind of like practice that I didn't anticipate to be practice for what I'm doing now.
So, like, the fact that you had to deal with the bureaucracy of it and the politics of it prepared you for maneuvering in this modern day entertainment landscape?
Yes, that, throwing events overall, because I would be the one planning everything, got the DJ, got the setup of the decor and the pricing for people to get in, all those things that I do now. That was the practice point for me.
It's like on the job training. Like,
Yeah.
excuse me. Well, no, it is, because life is the job that you do every day, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was on the job training.
Yeah, didn't know it was at the time, but
Hey,
here I am.
hindsight's 2020, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So you and Banks, you guys get together and say, the two of us, we are Jersey. Like, let's do this. Now, listen, I'm
Yeah, partially. I was saying
okay. That was just a wild guess.
What it was is that was in high school. I graduated in 2011, and then I had that 1 year where I was kind of like, okay, I'm not president of FBLA anymore, and I kind of missed doing what I used to do. So being in Bergen County, we started throwing those events, bringing the minorities back together again, because that's who I was really throwing these events with for the most part, and they were attendees especially. And, really just from there, We Are Jersey became a thing because everybody needed a place to be heard. We were throwing events, and me and him would look at each other like, we're not Drewski, so why are people asking for us to play their song or to host or for them to be on the mic? We're like, why are they asking us? Like,
that was your first taste of the, you were doing something right.
Yeah, but
and you
we
were
didn't
doing
know.
something that people, Dame Dash said something a long time ago that was very poignant to me.
Mm-hmm.
He said that when you're making history, you don't know that you're making it while you're making it.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. You don't know what you're doing is impactful in that moment. He was like, the things that Jay and I did early on, leading up to Reasonable Doubt, we didn't know that we were making history in those moments. We were every step of the way.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, damn, he's right. That's why sometimes you have to kind of stop in the moment, like he said, be present in the moment and say, okay, no, what I'm doing is important right now.
Yeah.
But not get too cocky, like, what I'm doing is important. No.
And a lot of times you can't even see its importance because you're just doing you. You're just doing you.
You're on your own path, and it just happens to be historical.
If you really think about all the people that made history,
yeah,
you know what I mean. All the people,
okay,
things that are historic. None of that stuff was like a plan. Pretty much, it was like they were living their life. Especially when you go into struggle history making. You know what I'm saying? Like people usually make history for persevering through something that people either thought they couldn't do or try to block them from doing. That's usually what becomes a powerful historic moment.
Yeah, and we've all encountered those things along our way. So you and Banks are gaining steam, and at what point does those three letters WAJ come into effect?
Shoot, We Are Jersey. I mean, we previously was featured in another publication.
Okay.
Nice.
He wanted to partner with us, pretty much for us to be under his publication, but his publication was meant to be really just focused on his work, and ours is like focused on everybody else but us, but me and Banks. That's why me and Banks are kind of, I guess, that mystery.
You are.
We don't like to really talk about ourselves or really promote our work. It's really about everybody else. They're pretty much what creates the community that we have.
It's individuals like you that push the culture forward. On our first episode, we sat down with Rodney, the creator of Garden State Hip Hop, and he said something very similar, not too dissimilar to what you're saying right now. Like, I didn't get into it for the clout of the monetary gain. I got into it for the love and to see people, like, to see the culture get advanced.
Yeah.
And I always believe this, I firmly believe this, if your intentions are pure when you enter something, it might take a while, but God works on his own time. You have to see it through. Because sooner or later, it will break in your favor. Now, it might not be exactly what you thought it was going to be, but it will break.
Yeah.
When did you realize, everyone has that moment like, oh, wow, we're doing something. When did you realize that We Are Jersey is onto something? Because you got to grind, right? Like, the Sheik had to grind with his businesses. Like, I'm grinding with this. This has been a year and a half in the making. Like, when was that moment where you were like, okay, we're making some progress here?
Honestly, because of, especially from where I'm from, it's for Banks as well, because he's locally by like Saddlebrook, New Jersey. You know, I feel like for at least me and him, I think both of us would both say when we started doing yacht parties. When we were doing yacht parties, Banks is maybe like a year older than me, so I was like 19, 20. He was like 21, freshly 21, 22, you know. And the yacht parties we were throwing in New York, I never in my life imagined doing yacht parties. Never crossed my mind. Never was like a dream or desire, you know. But we started seeing people lined up for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks, and we're like, well, we're actually throwing a really big event. Like, you know, at first it sounds like it, like you're just talking about it, but when you see it, it's different. When you could feel the energy of everybody there excited to be at this event that you're throwing.
Yeah, Sheik, like you said, the idea was crystallized.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you big into journaling? Do you journal?
What do you mean, like as in like for manifestation?
Correct.
No, I wasn't.
The Sheik's really big into that.
It's smart.
Kinda,
makes it come faster.
I kind of just started it, and it was funny about
He's big into it.
Journaling.
Yeah.
When we first started today, and you're speaking about the Sheikism, right? When she said that, our last guest said that, I put that into my journal recently.
You did?
Well, not our guest didn't say it. That's who said it. I'm sorry.
It was.
It was Lynn's. I am so sorry. It just came clear to my mind when I said that. She gave me the idea that I should write a book, and you was like, call it Sheikism. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
These little one-liners, he cut like between just his experiences, the little one-liners.
It's in the journal.
Do it.
And look, I got you.
If the Sheik had an audiobook, I'd listen to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'd listen to it for sure. But yeah, like he always talks about crystallizing his ideas because the thought is nothing until you manifest it. You can have the greatest thought in the world, and again, timelines and things outside your control. One thing, but he kind of got me into writing things down. Like I have a little notepad that you saw earlier. It's not just stuff for the podcast. There's all sorts of stuff in it. My therapist was on it for a while. And again, if one person says it, it's an opinion. And I'm not one of those people that just because a doctor says it or someone says it, it's gospel.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to seek out more knowledge about that because that person puts their socks on the same way we do. But when the Sheik said that on an episode not 2 weeks after she said that, I was like, well, if two people in completely different universes are saying it, you got to listen when the universe speaks, right?
Of course, absolutely.
So here you are doing these parties and the universe is speaking to you.
Yeah.
And you decided to take it to another level into publication. Was that moment, or?
I would say it's one of them.
It's one of the moments, okay.
Because definitely people were performing on the boat and I didn't realize how important that impact of that experience for them was. Because I was just like, oh yeah, go ahead.
Sure,
do
you.
Yeah, if you want to perform, go ahead. You know what I mean? But
go off, yeah.
people were expressing gratitude, through the roof that I wasn't anticipating. Because I was like, why? Just giving you a mic, like, you know what I mean?
I think that's because of, like, the person that you are, though. You looked at it in a completely different way. You looked at it in a way of too few people look at it. You weren't necessarily trying to gain clout from it or do anything from it. It was just, like Biggie said, spread love, it's the Brooklyn way. Spread love, it's the B way.
Yeah.
Like, you were just spreading love. That's just the type of person you are, and the person that your brother helped you to be and your parents raised you to be, and Mr. Pena and all those people along the way kind of made. But again, like you become an amalgam of the people who are impactful in your life.
Absolutely.
So now when was that? When did these out parties really start to pop?
Oh my gosh, that was like
around
I guess my first one was like 2014, 15 maybe.
Okay, so now that's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I know it looks crazy when you look back at something.
Sounds crazy, yeah.
I remember the Sheik has a bully business, and it's doing very well. And I remember his crystallizing of the ideas. Every week it would be a little bit more. And is it wild now? You looking back on it? Not wild, but like it's impressive now. You looking back? How much time has passed?
That's a hard question for me to answer.
As the creator, I imagine that.
And the only reason I say that is because it's the one business that is literally with me all the time. Like I go home to my business.
Okay.
They're living creatures. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I see every flaw every day. Like I look at those dogs every day and like, how can I create the next thing? How can I create? You know, I love my dogs to death, but when you're in the business of building a breed, you're always looking at what's not good about your dogs. Just like I always look at what's not good about myself. I know what's good about myself.
It's like the eye on the sparrow.
You feel me?
Mentality.
It's
Okay.
like constant development. You know what I'm saying?
So
just like what we keep speaking about, the universe. The universe is changing, growing and developing as we speak every day. It's a constant project.
You
just
said,
like success.
Well, you said something that stuck with me. You said, if something doesn't change, it's dead. It's stagnant.
Absolutely. If it don't change, grow, or develop,
change, grow, develop.
that puppy is dead.
Yeah, I think that's well put.
It's no longer alive, and I mean, unless it's a rock. You know what I mean?
Well,
If it's full of life, it has to change. It has to grow, whether it's growing up or growing down or growing old.
Agreed.
Or it has to develop. But if there is no action involved, there's no life involved.
It's stagnation. So now, at the time of this podcast publication, your next publication will have been released. The summer issue
Yeah.
of We Are Jersey Magazine.
Absolutely.
We Are Jersey Entertainment. It won't be new to everyone else, but it'll be new to us. Mm-hmm. Give us first of all, I want to preface that by saying thank you for honoring us with the exclusive.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate you to the utmost for that. We appreciate your time and your energy for this.
Thank you for being here on your birthday.
Yeah, like no, your time and energy is
fire.
Valuable. So if you could bless us with some things that we can expect with that, we would be most appreciative.
Yeah, I mean, well, this next issue is definitely, I feel like it's almost like a gift to myself at this point, too, because I feel like it came full circle, we're featuring the artist from Newark, New Jersey. She has a lot of amazing R&B music, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be up and out of here. You know what I'm saying? She's definitely very quickly on her way to the top, and I used to pretty much follow her for quite some time, 2016, 2017, and it also reminded me, especially when we interviewed her, she expressed her gratitude because of us providing that early support, and it just reminded me people don't forget, the gratitude and the experiences you give them, and
the right people will not forget. No. Yeah,
and supporting people, sometimes it doesn't really go in vain. Like sometimes you think it may go in vain, but it really doesn't. Like she's such a humble being that I could see where she's about to go. We also have Lady Luck as a cover as well. It's a double cover this issue.
Okay.
Ooh, Lady Luck, let's go.
You're in a big Jersey energy for this.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's only right.
Yeah, and for this upcoming Sunday, we are going to be celebrating the release at the Kruger Scott Mansion in Newark, which is historic.
What a great spot.
Yes. For people who do know the history, then they're like, okay, I understand now, because now you got these women double covers, but also the Kruger Scott Mansion was the first, millionaire in Newark. She had that mansion made for herself. She was a hairstylist, and that place is being rehabilitated so that they could, bring in creatives and things like that, so that they could, use it for our community and our people, you know what I'm saying, to be able to further their expression and improve their businesses and so on.
As a realtor, Is that a is that a desirable location?
I mean,
Piece of real estate.
listen, I say everything is what you make of it, because no
Facts.
house is perfect, so you gotta turn your house into a home for you.
Facts.
That's everywhere.
How long have you been a realtor?
Since 2019, I actually become a realtor after my mother passed. I know that people see real estate as like, oh, you can be a millionaire, this, that, and the third.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for when my mother passed. I wasn't, let's say, my brother handled a lot with the house sale. However, learning that when you lose somebody and they don't have a will, you have to deal with probate. You know?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And with probate, you have to pay the government a lot of money to prove that you're their kid.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you know, you're sitting there looking like, I have this picture, I have this last name. I mean, we
What
look
else
alike.
do you need?
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's all you need. But for me, it's bigger than that. Selling the house definitely changed my life. It showed me how also important it is for us to prepare properly so that whoever is left behind, that you know you guys are set good in the proper manner versus wasting a lot of money paying the government for something that is so obvious, you know, in my opinion. And I want others to learn and be able to do the same, you know.
That's the biggest misconception that comes across with real estate. It's like, oh, you can get rich. Do you agree with that or disagree with that? You get rich with quick. You
Yeah,
get rich quick.
You can get rich, but you can also go broke quick. So you pick your
Fair.
poison. You
That's
know.
fair. Where do you want to see We Are Jersey in 5 years?
5 years? Ah, man. I guess
What's on your vision board?
my vision board is really just being the main hub to create the community for Jersey. You know, Jersey has a lot of talent, and you know, people just have to see it within themselves and actually invest in themselves and you know, put in that work, because there's really no other place like Jersey.
Agreed.
Yeah, people leave Jersey and then they fighting to come back, and it's like, you shouldn't have left. You should have just really put in that work for yourself. You know,
That's
get to where you
facts.
want to be.
How do you think we help each other to get away from that crabs in a bucket mentality that we often find with Jersey artists? In your opinion,
Honestly, look
from
to
your
look to your neighbor, look to your left, look to your right, and just put the stupidity down is really just how I look at it. Because at the end of the day, if we all come together and grab a hand or pass the baton on, then we'll get somewhere.
I
But
agree.
if you're too scared, you're behind the scenes and behind the screens on social media, and you can't show love and you can't verbalize or express what you need, you know, that's where the problem begins, because we see each other, we know each other's dope. We'll sit in the same room and we'll know each other's dope and not say hi to each other.
We got to get away from that, right?
Oh, 1,000%, because that's the only way that we'll be able to make that change. You know, so
Like not EPMD. Wow, whole Public Enemy. It takes a nation of millions to hold us back.
I was
That's a
waiting
fact.
for I was waiting for what you was gonna say.
Okay, all right, yeah. No, it's not
I was like,
EPMD.
oh,
I'm a student of hip hop.
shit.
Public Enemy.
Paris?
To the young female entrepreneurs that you see a lot of yourself in, what advice would you give them?
I would say, you know, one, you got to start to look in the mirror and realize you're the shit and you're that girl. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter about anybody else's opinion. Don't matter about anything else that you see going on social media, TV, things like that. Because most people that I know, especially very talented women, they don't realize how valuable and how powerful they are until somebody else shows them or tells them. But if you started to see that within yourself earlier on, you'll be able to get way further, way quicker. But we stop ourselves. We're our own obstacle in reality.
It's like the Sheik said, you have to believe in your presence.
Oh,
What'd you
yeah.
say?
Absolutely. And your power.
You gotta believe in your presence and your power.
That's a fact.
B,
Yeah.
it's a good place to stop. Can I just say something? It was great talking to you.
Oh, it's great talking to you guys as well.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. For sure.
And if you would honor us with your presence at another point down the line, we would love to have you on.
I'm with it.
Yes,
I
I
am
gotta
with
get with her. I gotta get with B.
Yeah, no, hopefully this is the first. My hope is this is the first of many collaborations between the Ransom Report, We Are Jersey magazine,
I'm with it.
and B. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So,
How can the viewers connect with you on social media?
Jersey Queen 201 all across the board, or honestly just look up Bridget Pepino. You're going to get my government today. Bridget Pepino.
We
Google me,
appreciate
you'll
that.
find me all across the board, real estate or entertainment.
Okay.
let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again. This was an excellent dialogue, and I hope it was not as daunting as you thought it was going to be. I hope we made it fun for you.
Yes, a whole lot of fun, honestly.
Okay,
I did.
We did. The Sheik and I did our job.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Wherever you are and however you may be listening, thank you again for listening to the Ransom Report. Until next time, Sheik, what happened to peace?
Peace.
This program is brought to you by the good folks at What's the Movement, LLC.